Okay, when solving trigonometric equations, it's critical to know the ranges of the inverse trig functions. So fortunately, for most problems, we can figure this out from the quadrant the output is in. Remember, the output is an angle. So the output so if you take arc cosine of 0.5, that's an angle. Not the 0.5, the arc cosine of it. So think of arc as an arc, and you're measuring your angle according to the length of the arc, right? Remember that? That's how radians are measured, right? So the output is an angle. This helps a lot to remember that. So going to the CS plane, the range of cosine of the arc cosine is in the upper half plane, quadrants 1 and 2, including plus the c-axis, numbers on the c-axis. Okay? Because remember, the endpoints are included. The range for sine inverse is the right half plane. Including the s-axis. The range for secant inverse is the same as for cosine, except, remember, secant and cosine, secant, same as cosine, except that it's missing a point at pi over 2. The range for cosecant, remember, cosecant is 1 over sine. Range for cosecant is just like the range for sine, except that you're missing a point on the c-axis there. So this is just a way to remember these, to memorize them. So range of cotangent is like the range for cosine and secant, except that it's missing, well, it's like the one for cosine, except it's missing the 2 points on the c-axis, right? So if you read left to right, you've got no points missing on the upper half plane or the c-axis, 1 point missing and 2 points missing, right? And see how they're distributed. And then the cotangent is going to be like the sine, only with the 2 endpoints missing. So that's one way to try to memorize these outputs, the ranges of these trig functions. I think that's easier than trying to go from all the graphs, because these all look kind of similar, and you can see the pattern pretty easily. So on the top row is cosine inverse, then secant inverse. Remember, secant is the reciprocal of cosine, and then cotangent inverse. And the bottom one is sine inverse, cosecant inverse, and tangent inverse.